Hey folks, this is Kalani. If you haven't heard by now, Discord is the cool place to be. Come join us in discord.gg/Kalani. We can chill, chat and run a few Mythic Pluses. Discord is also super useful if you want to talk or ask questions about your class. Just hit up the class Discord servers and you'll be a pro in no time. Or go make your own server and invite some friends. All for free. A little while back, I gave you a must-have add-ons video for Legion. Well, I'm back with Volume 2 because I've found quite a few add-ons which I feel like sharing and feel like they will improve your experience. So we're going to have a look at the must-have add-ons in Legion Volume 2. So first up is Cons Legion. Now this is a leveling add-on, so it's about that time when people get maybe a little bit bored of their main, want to branch out into an alt or two, but they can't necessarily be bothered with leveling again. So Cons Legion kind of fixed that. It will basically level for you. All you do is listen to it. So we pick up this one quest, and then it'll change and update everything and give you waypoints and arrows and just guide you through the entire leveling process. Now, this only works for the Broken Isles, so it is only 100 to 110. If you listen to what Cons Legion tells you and just follow it basically blindly, you will be 110 in no time, because it will give you waypoints to where you need to go in such a manner that you can't get lost. It will also give you quests to pick up which you might have otherwise missed. That's because this goes on a pretty efficient leveling path, I would have to admit. You end up getting to 110 before even reaching every single zone. It also adapts really quickly if you happen to change zones, so if you kind of get bored of High Mountain and you decide to then swap to Stormheim, that's not going to break the add-on, which, you know, it might for some other older leveling add-ons, which is pretty cool. And basically all you need to do is follow the arrows. So if you want to level quickly, efficiently, and with as little effort as possible, go download yourself Cons Legion. It takes a lot of the hassle out of leveling. It's also super great for going back and completing any quests that you skipped over or forgot after you reach 110. If you want to get all those quests done, this is brilliant. It'll show you exactly where to go to get them and exactly where to go to complete them. So that's number 1, Cons Legion. Next up, we have the Premade Groups filter add-on. This will allow you to go into the Premade Groups group finder and filter pretty much by anything you want. So we've got the basic filters here. We want to do Mythic Plus with maybe an item level of 860 to 900, because I can get into those. And then we'll also tick or item level not specified. We might find something special there. And because I don't really have a lot of time here, I want there to be at least one tank, maybe a healer as well, and we need to get in the group, so a max of 2 DPS. And if we filter by that, this will give me all the groups in Mythic Plus with 860 to 900, which has a tank and a healer and not full DPS, so I can actually join, which is kind of fantastic. You don't have to scroll through all the things you don't necessarily want, and you can look very specifically for what group you want to join. So maybe the tank isn't too much of a necessity. You know, we can happily untick that and we suddenly get so many more groups. If you want to add something else here, we can search for +9 and it will give us those filters with +9. But if you want to go a step further, you can actually learn how this works with its little filtering commands, and we can do an advanced expression query. Now you can find plenty of these online, but for an example, let's say we want to do Mythic Plus, and we want there to be one tank or one healer, so that'll show us one tank or one healer instead of just one tank and then one healer, you know. So very useful to learn how these works. It's, if you know coding, chances are you're going to learn how this works pretty quickly. But Mythic Plus and tank 1 or heals 1, we also want there to be less than 3 DPS, so we go and DPS is less than 3, and we can also search for tags in the name or the description, so and not name find open parentheses would to sell. You know, we don't want anything which is wanting to sell, so not name colon find bracket parentheses open quotations WTS quotations close parentheses, and that'll filter by Mythic Plus with 1 tank or 1 healer, not max DPS, and nothing with want to sell in the title. Obviously we can take that one step further. Maybe we don't want anything which is forming a carry group, and not name find forming. So that'll filter out anything which has forming in the title or description. So you can filter very specifically and you can target the groups that you want to join, which makes this such a powerful add-on for time saving. It's ridiculous. If you want to go into raids, you can also filter by, how many members there are available. Obviously we'd need to change this. So if we want there to be at least, 8 members, because we want to get going pretty quickly, but we also want there to be at least 1 tank and 1 healer. We can search, and you can get into a group that fits your searching material, which it's a brilliant add-on. I'd say there's no reason not to have this add-on right now, and it can speed things up so much. That's number 2, a Premade Groups filter. Next up we have saved instances. This is a fantastic add-on which just gets more and more useful the more alts you have. So for just 1 character, it's pretty useful. We can go up here and hover over the saved instances minimap icon, and we can see quite a bit of information. For my hunter, which is the character I'm currently on, we can see I've already done the weekly boss with a gym this week. I've done my 3 weekly quests for my 3 tokens, and we can see how I got those. I did a Seal of Fate in the class hall, Sealing Fate gold, and Sealing Fate piles of gold. Then a bunch of resources here for currencies, and then if we want to bring this down, we can left click and hold Alt for a whole bunch of information. So you can see my alts are up here. Don't really play a great deal of them because most of them are on my old server Kill Jaden, but the ones that are on Illidan get a little bit of attention. We can see that my hunter has lockouts which have expired, but previous lockouts for Trial of Valor, 3 of 3 normal, 3 of 3 heroic, 2 of 3 mythic. The Nighthold, 1 of 10 normal, 10 of 10 heroic, 4 of 10 mythic. So if I wanted to extend any of these, I can, which is really useful. Once again, world boss and who's killed it. So I also need to do this on my paladin if I'm going to do it on my paladin, mage if I'm going to do it on my mage. And then we can also see the normal mythic dungeon lockouts that I have on my hunter, as well as old raid lockouts across all of my characters. So if you run a lot of raids to begin with, you can see which ones you haven't done anything on for the week. So you can see my mage hasn't done anything last week. I could have gone and done something on my mage. Or I can see that my paladin only managed to get 8 of 10 normal. So if I want to go back and finish that off, I can see that without having to log on my paladin and go to his raid info to see exactly what he got done. And it works exactly the same for old raids. So if you run a bunch of old raids for transmog, for gold, whatever you're doing it on, you can see that you might have done it on a paladin one week, but you haven't managed to do it on a hunter this week. So you can go do it on your hunter, and then while you're on your hunter, you can also see you haven't done it on your mage, druid, warrior, rogue, You get a lot of information for all of your alts about all of their weekly goings on, really, with just this single add-on, which is fantastic. And it means I don't need to log on to these alts that I might not necessarily play a great deal. I might only do 1 or 2 things on them. I don't need to log on to them to see if I've actually done it that week. So it's a really cool add-on. It saves me a lot of time relogging and keeps track of a lot of things across my entire account, which I am a fan of, really. So that's the third one, saved instances. Up next, we have OPai. Now, this is one that I'm relatively new to, but it seems just to be awesome. So, what this does is give you the ability to keybind a ring of abilities, icons, mounts, pets, pretty much anything you can think of. So, we'll use my mount ring, and we can see, bringing up my 1 keybind, I can mount any number of mounts here. I've currently got 6 tied to this, so I can go for Ashes of Alar. Or, if I'm feeling a little Miss of Pandaria, I can go with my Thundering Cloud Serpent. And it's just really cool. It gives you a lot of space on your bars. So instead of having to have all of your mounts that you want to run with on your bars, you can have 1 keybind, so you don't even need 1 keybind on your bars at all for a mount, and you can just cycle through your mounts here. Now, for something like a hunter, I can also go into Beast Mastery, and I can use a different OPai ring to summon pets. So having dismiss pet on here is pretty useful, and I can then press 1 keybind to have any of my pets come out. So let's call my Spirit Beast, dismiss, because we now need a battle res. just super efficient, really, space-wise, for action bars and keeping it nice and pretty in that ring. You can also do things like keep toys or consumables, costumes, that kind of thing, in an entire ring of their own. So you can see we have the Jewel of Hellfire. So we can happily turn into a scary red Draenei. Or, you know, maybe we're feeling the Orb of Deception, and we can turn into a normal Draenei. Or we're feeling the Haunted Locket. So it's just, instead of keeping all of these on a bar, you can keep them all in one ring. Now, the way that this is set up by default isn't necessarily the best thing in the world. So /OPai will give you your settings, and I disabled all of the default ones for the most part, and then went into custom rings, and you can create anything you want here. So new ring, let's just call it random stuff, because we're going to add a bunch of random stuff. So you can bind a key, let's do num9, I know that's not in use right now, and then we can add a new slice. So we can do abilities, pet abilities, items, battle pets, mounts, macros, equipment sets, raid markers, toys, OPai rings themselves, and then a few other things to do with other add-ons. So if you really wanted to, you could bind all of your abilities to an OPai ring. I wouldn't really recommend that because it's going to give you a little bit of an issue maybe with rotation, but we can do pet abilities if you really want to, items, things like your potions or other different costume abilities. We can do battle pets to summon different battle pets, mounts to summon different mounts, macros if you really want to set all that jazz up, and then if you want to add these, you simply just double click and we can add a whole bunch of mounts here for a different OPai ring, and that's how you use OPai. Definitely seems to save a lot of space on bars more than anything else, and is just really nice to look at most of the time. So that's number 4, OPai. So the last add-on I want to talk to you about is Instance Portals. Now, with Legion, we got nice little blue rings for marking where a dungeon is on the map, as well as a raid. What Instance Portals does is takes that ring and applies it to everything to do with the old world. So you no longer have to go hunting for Razorfen Downs or for Dire Maul or Mordaron. You know, if you are not instantly familiar with where these dungeons are, this is just a fantastic add-on which can show you exactly where old raids are and old dungeons are, which takes the guesswork out of it, and you know, you don't need to go find some little guide somewhere on an ancient website because it's a vanilla dungeon and it's kind of locked away underground somewhere really obscure. So it's a really nice add-on, very simple, and it just adds that nice quality of life feature to the old world and pretty much everything before Legion, which is super cool. So that's number 5, Instance Portals. And that's it. That's the 5 add-ons which I've been using recently, which I feel are an amazing addition to the game and I would feel you would enjoy using. So if you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Or hop on over to Discord. We have a server over at discord.gg/Kalani. It's a great place to ask questions or even just hang out. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.